Bro, it's 3 AM. Why the hell are you calling me?
Ralsei is Asriel semen on Kris' fake horns.
What? I bet everybody knows that Kris and the Knight are in some kind of collaboration, but have you ever noticed how much they look alike? Similar sprites, poses, actions, aura farming. No, I don't want to say that Kris is the Knight, this theory sucks. I mean, the similarity confirms that Dess is the Knight again. Meet my secret sibling. Their name is Rory Knight. Maybe someone will disagree and say that Carol, Rudy, Asriel, or even Papyrus the Great is Rory Knight. But unbeatable facts and numerical superiority of Dess Knight theory fans are on my side. So, for simplicity, I'll put an equality sign between Dess and the Knight. Well, as I have already said, Kris and Dess were good and close friends, and had spent a lot of time together. Similar poses can tell that December was a kind of good example and compass for Kris. And if we remember the identity crisis caused by the fact that they are the only human in the whole... Wait a minute, are they really the only human? There's an popular theory about human death in the fandom, and some facts can prove it.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
At first, she has a lot of boots and suddenly 2 pairs of skates in her room in chapter 4. And let me remind you that most of monster kind rarely wear shoes, especially the holidays. I mean, they have hooves, so they basically just don't need any shoes. It would seem like, seriously, human? Toby literally showed us her antlers in chapter 3. But what if I say that these antlers are fake, just like Kris' horns? Moreover, judging by the Christmas tree and presents, the day from the flashback is Christmas. And from Undertale cutout lines, we know that Asgore dresses up as Santa and Rudy puts on the red nose on this day. So, why couldn't Dess do the same thing? By the way, in those dialogues, Asgore mentioned Rudy's wife and daughters, which proves the holiday family's existence in Undertale. Moreover, at the time of the game's events, Rudolph had already fallen down. However, Asgore says that Rudy would be happy to see the world that day, and his daughters get to grow up in the sunlight. So, what am I getting at? Well, the Xbox version of Undertale has Onyx dialogue with Sans. Has Onyx dialogue with Sans, Papyrus, the yellow kid, the antlered girl, and her big sis. Strange wording, isn't it? Why would he call Dess that? Maybe because she doesn't have antlers at all. Another fact confirming this theory is, suddenly, a toilet in the Holiday's house. Monsters can't produce waste after eating, so there was a human who lived in their house. And probably that human wasn't Kris. But yeah, this particular take about the toilet has too many inconsistencies and nuances, so I suggest using the fact only as additional confirmation of the theory. Remember these facts, we'll need them later. As for now, let's talk about Asriel. Those homies who subscribe to my Telegram channel, link in the description, know that I'm addicted to Dess and Asriel ship, and the first one is described as a rowdy and dirty girl, and according to her age and personality, she can easily hit someone with her bat or just, you know, open a dark fountain. But Asriel, he's the opposite, quiet and smelly boy. That's not a surprise, I guess. Tricky Tony loves this relationship dynamic so much, just like powerful dominating woman. As an example, Bretty told us that after she and Asriel kissed in a bed, Toro forced him to go to church for a week. Over an innocent as he killed him up in a game, he confessed in church by his own will. That's also the reason why I can't imagine him as a cool rebel punk like some artists draw him. Wait, what does he even look like? It feels like everybody forgot about Asriel, who was already mentioned at the very start of chapter 1. It's quite hard to find art with him, but without Dess. Correction, I mean Asriel from Deltarune, not Undertale. And this is quite natural, actually. However, we can understand what he looks like from a dialogue with Susie in chapter 4. When she saw Asriel's photo on the fridge, she thought Kris just photoshopped Ralsei's photo, and that means these two look quite similar. Maybe even exactly the same. And in general, he's described as a pretty innocent, soft, quiet and cute boy. Wait. Doesn't that remind you of someone? Innocent, soft, quiet, cute. Of course, it's...
Halt! Where is Gabriel? And what have you done to him?
Of course, I'm talking about Noelle, and all this time I've been leading you to one simple thought. Why can't Noelle be similar to Asriel, just like Kris is similar to Dess? And hey, have you heard that? Noelle and Asriel, Kris and Dess. And both holidays have not just similar, but double letters of the Dreamers. Just look, Toby Fox couldn't have done this by accident. Remembering all these facts, the ship of Kris and Noelle makes even more sense, just like the ship of their siblings. That would be insanely cute if this dynamic were also continued with Rudy and Carol, but it's just a theory. But let's return to Dess, specifically to a certain accident that turned the holidays and Dreamers' lives by 180 degrees. Why do you think so? Well, in that Tana flashback I mentioned before, Dess' silhouette disappeared first, and only after her vanishing did, everybody started to disappear too. Theoreticians have very different views on what happened to December, why she became the Knight, if she actually is a Knight, and whether she kept her mind. Maybe she's lost, died, became an amalgam or goner, maybe she just fell into the backrooms, I don't know. There are too many headcanons and theories about it, and I have an interesting thought. What if this certain terrible incident happened to Dess actually happened to Kris? This theoretic suggested that they might feel guilty for her, such a strong sense of guilt that they become a vessel. But wait, every human has a soul, so where's Kris one? And this is where the fun begins. As we know, one of the most important properties of the soul is determination, the ability to maintain and resurrect life. So what if something happened to Kris and Dess sacrificed her soul to them? And this is the same soul that we control in Deltarune. And meanwhile, Dess started to lose her body or took Kris' damaged soul, and after that, she became the knight. Somehow. Remember Asriel's sweater in her clothes? What if it belongs to Kris or even Dess herself? If they ended up in the same town, at the same time, in close friends' families, why shouldn't they be related or something? Besides, it's not the first time Toby has given us subtle hints with clothes and other hidden details. But the most telling point is the minigame in chapter 3. As we know, Kris plays the piano, but for some reason they play the guitar in this game. At first I thought it was an allegory of Kris doing things that are foreign to them and the player's will. And here, just remember when exactly Kris was actually playing the piano, at the moments when they are not under the player's control, and we can hear it all over the chapter 4. And in the minigame we actually controlled Kris, which means the soul played the guitar. And who else played the guitar? That's right, December. And then we have a scene where with Kris' hands, a soul belonging to Dess plays a song on her favorite instrument, which Dess most likely wrote, which also contains the Lost Girl motif, belonging to, guess who? Dess. Besides, there's a chance that the vessel created in chapter 1 also belongs to her, especially according to my assumption about her soul. That's how we can explain why a random goner is wearing the exact same sweater as Kris. And also the theory about Carol's, or anyone else but non-Guster's, words in chapter 1 about choices in this world makes more sense now.
And not less actual question, why did this accident with Dess even happen at all? Imagine if Dess was left alone after Asriel went to college because she couldn't or didn't want to do the same. Maybe she just couldn't take this loss and started to lock herself away from the outside world and people. And it's very sus that her whole room is very clean, but her bed looks like someone just rapidly left it.
So there's so much strange stuff in her room, but you only notice the bed?
What else?
I don't know, maybe her clothes?
While the whole room looks quite normal, Dess' closet is... What is problem, man? Everybody noticed Asriel's sweater, but why are there so many heart-shaped objects? Why are there so many boots? Why does it have such a strange shape at all? And the most important question that no one can answer, why does December have drums in her closet? But almost everyone draws her with a guitar.
Assuming the secret monologue lines from the files belongs to Dess, we can say she is in a very desperate situation, and wherever she is, absolutely alone, I guess the only thing she wanted is to see Asriel, her closest friend, or even more.
Especially after a conflict with him.
And you know what she could do? Create him. There's a joke theory from Reddit saying that Ralsei is Dess and Asriel's kid, and...
What? No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
If Ralsei wasn't lying and he really is a Darkner, then December could be his... not a mother, but a creator.
Usually, people go to college before they're 18 years old, and maybe even a year later. So it would be strange if Dess and Asriel had an actual kid at that age.
I mean literal creation, like the creation of dark fountains.
В светлом мире наяву никого я не ебу.
Think about it. Darkners are the embodiment of the intentions of the person creating the fountain. They need to think over how the dark world will look and who will live there. Maybe Dess and Asriel knew more about dark worlds than using Kris, and they found some unknown features of it. Have you seen Inception? There, the main heroes were making their own world in a dream for a long time. And what if Dess got in some kind of deep dark
fantasies.
deep dark world that's dark, darker, yet darker. And while she was desperate, she somehow created Ralsei. Don't ask me how, this is not so overthought of a concept. And Ralsei is literally how Dess could see Asriel, as a fluffy, kind, quiet and infinitely cute god. Also for confirmation of this theory, it's simply logical. Who else could create a Darkner who looks and acts almost exactly like Asriel in your opinion?
You people have issues.
Well, of course I have issues. That's my freaking father!
Of course, it was someone who personally knows him, so I don't think it was Wingguster. Creation of Goners fits him more though. Except Ralsei is a super turbo overcharged completed goner. Talking about Kris? Yes, maybe, especially remembering how Ralsei acts with Kris and how many effects they're both hiding from Susie as a player. But then there are too many contradictions and plot holes. A Holiday's Artorial couldn't have done that either. Then Asgore is the last one, because obviously he knows about Dark Fountains and Carol's plan. As a result, we have only 3 characters who could have created Ralsei. But among them all, Dess is best. At least I don't find that Asgore and Kris see Asriel as a lovely and cute femboy. But December, I'm pretty sure. And who knows? Maybe she created Ralsei accidentally, venting her emotions and intentions to see Asriel in the zero-point field of hopes and dreams. However, since people found out the darkness as their objects from the light world, one question appeared: what object is Ralsei supposed to be? There are a lot of theories: pure darkness, goner, Kris drawing, horns. And we could assume that the knight could be Dess antlers the same way Ralsei could be Kris horns. But anyway, when the knight enters the light world, it would turn into an object or lightner, which doesn't happen, so the guess is still questionable. Right now, unfortunately, it's impossible to say for sure proof of theory with solid facts, because we have very little information about the fountains and even less about Dess and Ralsei, but new chapters will come and Tricky Tony will judge us. Well, hey guys, thanks for watching till the end. If you liked the video, we'd appreciate any support, especially subscribing to the Telegram channel.
And my Telegram channel too.
Also, the video was fully translated and voice acted into English by us, with no AI. So, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment and let me know if I should translate the next videos into English as well.
We'll be happy if you hit the like button, subscribe and leave a comment if we missed something.
Thanks for watching, and see you later!
Тебе нравятся мои огромные яйца? Бля, ты это тоже снимаешь, надеюсь, да? Эту хуйню. А хочешь покажу свой большой джуджун? Хочешь? Смотри. Тебе нравится мой джуджунчик? Хочешь, я тебе его подарю? Хочешь? Сука, хочешь, блядь? Бля, меня из хитбоксов